Hey Mama, today we are going to talk or continue talking about healthy thinking patterns. This is continuing a little mental series I'm doing on finding emotional resilience, specifically using God and Jesus Christ in helping us. And I have learned a lot in these areas, and I hope what I share with you helps you to use your thoughts to find more positivity, which is the title of this podcast, Positivity in Pregnancy and in Motherhood. You are listening to a Tuesday episode where I focus more on the motherhood area. On Fridays, I focus on the pregnancy area. Let's jump into this episode. Hi, I'm Jocelyn, fellow mom of 5 and host of the Positivity in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast. I help pregnant women and mothers to find the positivity in their season of life through changing their thoughts to work for them and not against them. I help mothers find the small, doable steps in thought and action without making drastic changes to their everyday mom life. And I can help you. Let's find positivity during our pregnancies and in our motherhood together. Thanks for joining. I am going to quote this little pamphlet booklet that I have been getting a lot of my information from, so we will start there. Your thoughts are important. How you talk about yourself and how you think about things impact how you feel and how resilient you can be. Your thoughts also play a great role in how you interact with others and perceive the world around you. The scriptures teach, "For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he." Knowing how much power your thoughts have over your emotions, both the Savior and the adversary seek to influence your thoughts. The Savior asks us to look unto him in every thought, with faith, without doubt or without fear. And Satan also vies for our brain space, and we are going to talk about some of the negative things that negative thought patterns, tools that he uses to create unhealthy thought patterns. Before we get to that, I want to talk about something that I have learned in the past from other coaches that helped. And I'm not going to go deep into this, but as we continue talking, it will add upon this 5 little model, I guess. And it is CTFAR. So C stands for your circumstances, T stands for your thoughts, F stands for your feelings, A stands for your action, and R stands for your results. I'm going to quote the book again, and I will link this booklet in the show notes if you're interested in your own copy. Anyways, here is the quote. "We might frequently find ourselves focusing our thoughts on what is wrong or negative. Inaccurate thinking patterns may lead us to see the worst possible outcomes to a situation. These distorted thoughts cause us to feel bad about ourselves and others. We all experience negative thoughts, but sometimes we get stuck in them, and we don't see the inaccurate thinking problems and how it is hurting our emotional health." So here are some of those inaccurate thinking patterns. All or nothing. This one showed up a lot for me. I'll give you some examples from the book, but I'll also try to give you some real life examples how I've noticed some of these thought patterns in my own life. In the book, it talks about seeing something or someone as all good or all bad. You tend to use phrases with words like always or never, like I always say the wrong thing. So all or nothing shows up in a lot of ways. It can even show up in motherhood, like I am all good at cleaning my house, or I am all bad at cleaning my house. There are so many middle options. And it has taken me way too many podcasts and way too many books that I have read to realize that there are so many middle options. When you find your brain is telling you it is all or nothing, fight with it and say there are always other options. There are always a million other options. I remember one particular instance. This is a little more lighthearted, but you will be able to start noticing it in your life after hearing some of these examples. I had a humongous pile of dishes. Like, it had gone days, probably way too many days, without me washing the dishes, and I did not want to do them all. So you know what I did? I did half of the dishes. My brain made me feel like I needed to do all those dishes at once, but I didn't. I did half of those dishes, and then a few hours later, when I finally felt some gumption to tackle the rest of them, I did the rest of them. And you know what? It was just fine. I didn't have to do all my dishes at one time. It was beautiful that I did half, left the other half there, and then did the other half later. So watch out for that all or nothing mentality that makes you think always or never, or I'm all in, like if you want to do some type of business or project. It's like either I have to all the way do it or not do it at all. You can get started on the project, do a little bit here and there, and even if you pause the project next week, you still did something. So that's one of these inaccurate thinking patterns. Okay, another one is mislabeling. Taking something that happened and making a broad or incorrect statement. The relationship ended, so I'm not good enough. That's the little example that they gave. So just because a relationship ended doesn't mean that you're not good enough. Or just because something happened, maybe in your motherhood, maybe you yelled at your kids, doesn't mean you're not good enough. Maybe you had a bad moment. We've all had bad moments. I still have bad moments. But that does not mean you are not good enough. Okay, the next one is jumping to conclusions. So that is interpreting others' thoughts or assuming the worst possible outcome. And the example is, I bet everyone is laughing at me. I have had to change my thought patterns a lot. I have, on occasion, stepped out of my comfort zone and taught some classes. I've taught some sourdough classes. I've taught a couple of mindset of weight loss classes. And I have to really, especially after the class is over, I have to tell my brain what I want it to think. So usually or naturally my brain wants to say, oh, you did awful. Like, nobody liked that. Nobody got anything from that. You gave way too much information. You didn't talk slow enough, and just jumping to conclusions that everyone didn't really like what I gave them. This can happen in your relationships. It can happen in family relationships. Be careful about jumping to those conclusions and instead shift those conclusions to a more positive outcome. So instead of, I bet everyone's laughing at me, or I bet they hated my presentation, saying something like, I bet someone got something out of that presentation. It is more positive, and it helps to build our confidence when we have more healthy thinking patterns. The next one is personalizing. Blaming yourself or someone else for a situation that in reality involves many factors. Something like, here's a little example. They didn't call me back, so they must be mad at me. Making it seem like you're the bad guy or that something is your fault. Emotional reasoning. Judging a situation based on how you feel. I feel guilty. I must have done something bad. I don't have a lot to say on that one, so we are going to move to the next one. Overgeneralization. Applying one experience and generalizing it to all experiences. So here's an example. I did poorly on this assignment, so why should I stay in the class? I have a funny example for this one too. My husband really likes to ride side-by-sides, and as I've mentioned in past episodes, I prefer to stay safe. Well, the other day, he came home in the side-by-side. Every now and then he'll drive it home from work. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll take the side-by-side down the road. My father-in-law had said there was a house for sale that I didn't know was for sale. Anyways, it turned out the house was not for sale. It was an advertisement. Nonetheless, I told my husband, hey, I want to take the side-by-side down there and look at that. And it was just a couple miles away, and I did it, and on the way back, it started smoking. And I just was flabbergasted. I was like, the one time I tried to be a little bit adventurous, I tried to do something out of my comfort zone, something I don't normally do, the dang thing breaks on me. I had to call him, he had to come tow it back, and I totally wanted to overgeneralize. I wanted to use that opportunity to be like, see what happens when I do this type of stuff? Nothing works and it always breaks. And that line of thinking keeps me from enjoying stuff with my husband, from doing things with him, because I am feeling like that experience is going to be the result of all next experiences in side-by-sides, if that makes sense. And that is just, it's not true. It's an inaccurate thinking pattern that does not serve us. So what we are trying to do with these inaccurate thinking patterns is we're trying to shift them to more positivity, to more enlightenment, to more joy, because that makes life so much better. It makes motherhood, it makes marriage, it makes your role as a woman just so much more happy and enjoyable. And I can say that because I have been practicing this stuff since at least I was pregnant with my third. I really got more into it. So that's been like 8 years ago. She just turned 8. So this has been a long time in coming and learning these stuff, and I'm always still learning. There's always stuff to learn. The next one is a negative mental filter, focusing on a negative detail and dwelling on it. It feels like nothing went well today. It was just failure after failure. Do you ever have those days? I totally have those days. And I also wanted to bring up how when I talked about giving a class or a presentation, I want you to also to apply it to like speaking in church. You focus on the one negative thing that maybe didn't go very well, like talking too fast or taking too much time, and you don't focus on the good that your message gave. See how these are intentional shifts? You can choose to dwell on that negativity that comes to your mind, or you can shift to more positivity. Discounting the positive. This is the next one. Rejecting all positive experiences because you don't feel like they count. Here's the example. It doesn't matter if my daughter ate breakfast. She threw so many tantrums throughout the rest of the day. In motherhood, I learned this early on, well, not early on, but after a few years, and especially of thought work, that we get to choose what we dwell on. Most of the time, at the end of the day, we focus on everything that went wrong throughout the day. I challenge you this week. This is going to be actually the main challenge of the podcast. I challenge you each day in the evening when you're in bed and maybe ruminating over the day, I want you to think about all the things that went right and not the things that went wrong. You only think about the things that went right. Our brains want to dwell on the things that went wrong, but I want you to shift and focus on the things that went right, or the things that went good, the things that you did good. And let me know how it goes. In fact, maybe next week I'll give you some examples of my experience with doing this. I will do my own little challenge and focus on the things that went right. Okay, there's 2 more on the list, and then there's a couple more that I wrote down that I feel to share with you that are a little different, but nonetheless have been good thought patterns to help me release inaccurate thinking patterns to find less worry and stress, and it might help 1 or 2 of you. So, the next one in the book, though, is magnification. Exaggerating your weaknesses or comparing them to others' strength. Comparison is the thief of joy. I'm going to say that again. Comparison is the thief of joy. One way that you compare yourself a lot is on social media, so be very careful. Even take a social media break if you feel, but comparison is the thief of joy. If you find you comparing yourself to other mothers, you've got to stop and only compare your progress to your progress. The example in the book says, I barely cook dinner for my family, and when I do, it's nothing like her dinners. That's exactly what I was talking about. I've mentioned a lady I enjoy following on YouTube. She's got a lot of kids. They're building a house, and her dinners, at least the ones that she put on her YouTube channel, look amazing. And I could easily have those thoughts of comparison that my dinners look nothing like her dinners. But that is not serving me. That is not helping my mind. It is not helping me do better in making dinners or whatever area of life it's in. Comparison is the thief of joy. So don't magnify others' seeming strengths and make yourself seem less. It is going to take away your joy. Oh, this is another good one, is should statements. I actually listened to a pretty interesting podcast on this the other day. If I am able to find it, I will put it in the show notes. She did a whole episode on should and how we need to shift away from should, and it was eye-opening to me. This is basically telling yourself how things should or should not be. I shouldn't have messed up like that. I should do this. I should do that. I should have so on and so forth. I've heard people say before, you've got to stop or stop shoulding yourself. It's bad. It doesn't help. So something she mentioned in that podcast was shifting from should to could. When you change or interchange that word with the word should to the word could, it feels more light. It opens the possibility. So I'll give you an example there. This was probably a few months ago. I struggle with adult acne sometimes. It's annoying and it bothers me. And I was doing research on how to get rid of it because it was just annoying. It still is annoying. Nonetheless, I read that eating eggs can really cause acne. And I ate eggs a lot, like every breakfast. That's what I had. And for a while I was thinking, I should stop eating eggs. I should. And then when I realized I could switch that to I could, like, what could I do instead? It was like, oh my goodness, there's so many options of things I could do instead of eggs and still get protein. So shifting from should to could, like I should eat something different, to I could eat something different, it really helped. And I know that's a little example. In fact, most of the examples I am giving are small examples, but nonetheless, these small examples are what make up your life. They make it to where you are more positive or negative in these little examples. Okay, the couple others I wrote down, they don't really have specific names, kind of like the list I just went through. Nonetheless, they have been thinking patterns that have helped me. So giving people the benefit of the doubt in road rage. So if someone is like on your tail or past you or cut you off, instead of like being angry at them and mad, I usually just tell myself, they probably are rushing to the hospital. Like, I try to give them the benefit of the doubt. I try to make it positive. I try not to get overly judgmental in that situation because it doesn't serve me and it makes me negative, annoyed, and frustrated. So there's one. Another one is when you're worried. So some of you guys have husbands that maybe go out. They like to snowmobile or dirt bike or do other things out and about. And maybe there have been instances where you haven't been able to get a hold of them. So, and maybe it's not your husband. Maybe it's a friend or a family member, a child, something that just you're not able to get a hold of someone and it's causing you to worry. I have had many instances where my husband has been out side-by-siding or on a snowmobile, and I have been worried. I've been like giving my mind all the worst case scenarios, like, he's buried in an avalanche, or he's stuck and freezing to death, or he crashed his side-by-side and no one knows where he's at. Like, my mind would go to all those bad situations. And I have found that I needed to change those thoughts. And actually, I am so much less worried now when he goes out. And I think if I would have stayed worried, I would have gotten resentful of him going out so often, because that would have made me feel like, oh no, it's just setting me up for a worry situation. So I had to shift away from all those worry type scenarios into the other way around. So I've had to tell myself, like, the words I wrote down were, but what if the other way? So instead of, but what if all these negative things happened? But what if all these positive things happened? So, but what if his phone died and he was helping someone on the mountain? But what if his phone fell out and they're just fine and they just don't know where the phone is? But what if they're having a great time and they got to explore something else and things are going well? But what if they lost service and they just aren't able to contact me, but things are going well? Shifting away from all those negative thoughts to positive thoughts has helped me when my husband goes out, and also helped like my marriage, so that those aren't triggers that worry me. So those are a lot of inaccurate thinking patterns that can come to us, I would say as humans, but specifically in talking to you as a mom. Notice how some of these patterns might show up in your life, and work on shifting them to something better, something less negative, and something more enlightening and encouraging. I want to go back to what I challenged you to do, and that challenge is to focus on the things that went right each day. And then if you even want to take it one step further, you can email me on how shifting that thought process helped you. My email is positivityinpregnancy@gmail.com. It's in the show notes. My website is in the show notes, and I will put all the other things I had talked about in the show notes if I can find them, like that podcast episode. Anyways, I am cheering for you, Mama. I want you to succeed. I want you to have joy in motherhood. I believe that you can, because I know that I have found joy in motherhood in times when it has been so difficult. It's been little shifts like the ones I mentioned in this episode that have helped me to find more positivity in my motherhood. Anyways, we will chat again next week. Until next time. Thank you for being a part of the Positivity in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast, for listening, for sharing, and most of all, for applying these tools into your own life to improve your own happiness, so that you can find your own better thoughts and becoming the mother that you desire to be, through taking small steps in thought and action to reach your goals. If you are a mother who has an inner desire to enjoy motherhood and pregnancy better, but you are having difficulty figuring it out, I can help you. Thanks for joining. Reach out, let's connect, and let's see you move forward in your motherhood. My name is Jocelyn, and I thank you for listening. Until next time.